You are listening to Comp&Ben Talks. This podcast is dedicated to people who are interested in compensation and benefits and HR topics and challenges, and wish to understand what IT could offer in that regards. If you wish to educate yourself in these topics, see others people's experience and perspective, this podcast is for you. Enjoy listening. Hi, this is Bartek Podolski and
Magda Tur.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Comp&Ben Talks. Today we decided to have a generic topic, which we probably should have started with in episode 1. We decided it makes sense to talk about what actually is Comp&Ben and how it fits in HR and how it fits in organization. And Magda, I'll start with this thought that, like we said, when we have a smaller organization, or actually when a company just starts, you actually don't need much HR. You just need HR operations. You need things related to legal. Then when the organization grows, you need more sophisticated HR. So you need to have talent acquisition. You need to have employer branding, possibly. You need to have soft skills. And then when organization grows, then a need for Comp&Ben and financial planning starts and controlling. Would you agree with this?
Oh, yes, fully agree. That's true. This is the issue of maturity, of course, maturity of entire organization, but especially of HR functions. So this is exactly as you said. You can think about it like about the ladder. You have first step, and this is what you need to do. So this is HR operations. This is sometimes perceived as a Comp&Ben as well, but this is a different story. So HR operations means that you have some legal obligations. If you hire someone, you just need to fulfill the obligations. So this is your job contract, this is payroll, and this is different than pay policy.
This is something you have to have.
Yes. Like, this is like ensuring that proper amount of money will be sent to you on the proper time. Yes. So this is about the job contract, working time schedules, taxes, social insurance, and so on.
Payroll. So this is like first step of HR.
Yes.
So it's like most generic HR as you can have.
Yes, very broad. It can also contain health and safety, really broad, but this is different. This is, of course, connected with money, with billing, but this is not a strategy how you pay the people. Next step on the ladder, as you said, will be this psychological part of HR, creating a good place to work, good work environment. And of course, acquiring people outside the organization. So I mean, recruitment and employer branding as well. And then on the top of that, you are getting the awareness that you need to create a bunch of regulations, your internal regulations, not legal obligations, which refer to how, why, and when people are remunerated. And this is Comp&Ben.
So to summarize, this is when you actually become aware that you need a plan.
Yes.
That you need a plan more for yourself than plan for fulfilling legal obligations or fulfilling actually making the thing work. So Comp&Ben is more about planning, pay policies, motivation, retention of people, and more like working on organizational structure and how you pay on certain positions.
Exactly.
But so maybe just to summarize what we said. So Comp&Ben is part of HR. And just correct me.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So Comp&Ben is part of HR, and it's like, so when you start with HR, you need to have this generic operation. And people don't think much about planning and policies and motivation of people. But then when you grow as an organization, your awareness grows. Then you need to put more attention into HR. So this generic this generic operations of HR changes into more like employer branding, working with people. You add more soft skills. You add HR business partners possibly.
Yes, you plan career paths. Yes, you enable people to develop, train them. Yeah.
Yes, and then when you have this basis, then you start seeing a need for Comp&Ben, which is more about financial planning for your pay policy, your pay scale, motivating people, and it comes with, I think, with many flavors. Like we spoke the other day, I didn't realize that Comp&Ben is so much involved into planning, for example. But seems they are, right?
Yes, it is. And of course, when you develop your HR, it costs a lot. So one day you realize that you have a quite significant budget on the table, and you should think about the way you spend it. So you should connect this with business goals, with company performance. You should plan ahead. You should be fully aware how much you spend on what, how to motivate people, how to remunerate the best employees, and so on. So that's why you need this plan.
Pay fairly, yeah. Okay, so I think we managed to explain how Comp&Ben fits in the HR area and in the organization, and why is it important to have Comp&Ben when you have like major organization? Let's say you have hundreds or sometimes thousands of employees, and let's say you don't have Comp&Ben yet. Why is it important to have it?
So again, it's control over your budget. So this is the first thing. If you have thousands of employees, of course you are obligated to pay remuneration to them. But you should think about the manner you pay. You should be prepared for extra spending, like bonuses, for example, or long-term incentives in longer term than just for a month or for a year.
Yes. So it's more like strategic thinking, like we said in the...
Yes, it should be consistent policy, and don't forget about this aspect of remuneration, like fairness, internal consistency. You need to also observe external market and be in line with what happens there, right? So how you can't acquire good people if you are not aware what is happening on the market, what other company do.
So this requires time. So we could potentially say that HR is more about now, today, and how to make things work now, while Comp&Ben is more thinking ahead for the future and trying to attract the right people, retain the right people, pay for performance, plan, budget everything, control the execution of budget. I think some controlling is also aspect of Comp&Ben in some companies.
Yes, it can be part of Comp&Ben. Sometimes it's a separate function, but of course it's closely connected to Comp&Ben as well. So I think Comp&Ben is something in between financial control, HR operations, because of course you need to be in line with all the legal rules, and this soft part of HR. When we focus on motivation, on retention, and so on.
Okay. So Comp&Ben is important to manage the budget. I think that's the first.
Yes. I think this is the main function of that. But all the rest comes from this one. So you need to manage it fairly and in a manner which is well understood by your people. So then you can easily retain people within your organization, retain your best talents, and you can attract people from outside.
It's a bit funny because for me, like when I thought and it's probably because I read those books and probably I just read too much, and it's like more in theory than practice than actually practice of a business of Comp&Ben. I have more practice in implementing HR and Comp&Ben software. But when I think of Comp&Ben, for me it was more about motivating people and like paying for performance, making sure the KPIs are aligned, that you have the ranges for salaries, things like this. And for you, it's more to manage the budget. So it's more like hard thing and more hard financial planning.
It is your goal, but you have two goals. So Comp&Ben is the area when financial planning meets people emotions and all those soft aspects of people management, because KPIs, short-term incentives program, focus on motivation and so on. So this is how you execute the policy.
So it's more like combination of both.
Yes, exactly. It must be combination. It must be combination, and all the perspectives, or those two perspectives are equally important.
And do people actually understand this way?
It is your job to in Comp&Ben to make them understand.
Okay.
I think.
So this is a challenge in Comp&Ben, I guess. Like to make people aware why you do this and what actually Comp&Ben does.
Yes, yes, it's very important that people understand why your Comp&Ben policies, all the internal regulations looks like this. What is the sense behind them? So if they understand, they can even accept a decision they don't like it. But it's very important to make them understand, to make it clear, transparent to them.
So it's like, so you create your strategy, because that's the Comp&Ben function. You create your budget,
yes, and you have budget restrictions as always, right?
And then you need to explain that to people, like why, for example, why they can't have
bigger pay rise.
Pay rise, and those budgets are available, or why those KPIs are like this,
or why they can be promoted for a certain level of position.
Or actually, sometimes I think you help to put that structure in, like.
Definitely, yes. Yes, this is part of it.
Like deciding on what people will be on what grades and how you measure it, and how can they move up.
Exactly, this is Comp&Ben. Yes, this is how you manage your structure and eventually your budget, because this is all connected to remunerations. On the certain level, you should pay certain money. Yes, if you have 10 people on this level, you should pay them more or less equally. So maybe not all the team should be on the same level. Maybe you should differentiate this. Part of them should be on
exactly make it more formal, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise, people start thinking like, what's going on here, and they also look at the market. So I think you need also to look at the market and be aware of what's happening and how it fits in the market.
Yes, this is also a very important part of this. So you have two perspectives, internal and external, and you should be aligned with both. And this is I would say the major task for Comp&Ben, to be aligned, both internally consistent and competitive to the market.
And as a Comp&Ben consultant, do you sometimes have situation where people come to you or to your clients and say, hey, they pay that much from the market, and why I'm not paid like this, or why the budgets are so low, or how it's distributed? Do you get those situations?
Oh, very often. I think this is what happens every day. And this is very good if people have occasion to raise this question, because the problem is when they raise this question in the kitchen and it is never answered in a proper way. Because they get frustrated, of course. Yeah. But Comp&Ben is about how to connect money spent with business goals and revenue. And people should understand that we are one organization and we have some budget restrictions. Within this budget, we should do everything to treat everyone, each person fairly, and remunerate fairly for particular level of performance. So people should be perfectly aware what is expected from them, and then what they will get if they accomplish this. Yes? So, and this is your work to clarify this, to make people understand And of course, you know the restrictions, so it's your also job to control the restrictions, to be within the budget.
And then things will go smoother.
Yes, of course,
like,
yes.
At least you
the budget because we have only particular revenue, so we can't pay more than we earn, right?
I think from my experience, you can't have certainty that things will be very smooth, but I think you increase chances when you do it properly. So you by doing things right, you'll still get those situations, but I think you will get less of them. And
yes, and managers will be also after a few years, managers will be also much more aware and will be able to answer such questions on regular manner. So before the problem rise to the.
So it's about creating like a machine or like a mechanism that goes by itself. And like once people are aware, then when new people join, they fit in the organization and they know what to expect. So then they feel better in it, and it's not like volatile anymore, and you can actually build better organization in the future. Not now, but that's something that you'll benefit from it later.
Yes,
and it's like long-term goal.
Yeah, you have two perspectives. One is financial planning, and the other one is people and awareness of the people, how they are remunerated. So, yeah.
I think you summarized this. You said this nice sentence that Comp&Ben is connecting money spent with business goals and revenue. So connecting money spent with business goals and revenue. Yeah, I think makes sense. Plus making people aware why it's done, how it's done, and how they fit in. So I think it's a good summary.
Oh, thanks.
And what other challenges do you see related to Comp&Ben? Like I think we spoke the other day, we touched on this a couple of times already, that the tools and processes are often not good enough, or they don't change while Comp&Ben evolves. So I think that can be one of the challenges. Then we said this education of people, making them aware that Comp&Ben exists.
Because it won't happen next day when you educate people. This is not really this is not easy to understand area. So you need to spend some time clarifying this. And of course, processes. This is also not easy. Another thing is that people really don't like changes in this area because they feel insecure. Because this is about money. So you need to be prepared for that, for some resistance, for some reluctance.
And the thing is, you sometimes have like hundreds of managers that manage thousands of people. So, and then Comp&Ben is how many people normally? Just a few, right?
Yes, so this is really a small team, very small team, or sometimes even one person.
Yeah. So they need to collaborate. They need to work closely with the HR and with
definitely yes, of course. Yeah, Comp&Ben happens a little bit on the backstage of HR, I would say. So another thing is the exposure to the business. So managers often are not fully aware that someone is managing these budgets, creating some rules, referring how the money should be spent, and definitely. So they won't do that. They won't cascade this to the people if they are not aware that such function within the organization exists. Of course, yes, and this is also your job to make them aware. They won't be digging in because they are busy people, right? So.
Because on the other hand, you have the financial controlling, you have the expectations from the executives that there's only that much resources you can spend. So you can't actually give everything to the people because there is not enough, like in typical life. And then so you have those two forces. One is controlling and budget planning and the policies, and then on the other hand you have the expectations, the managers, the soft skills, and I think the Comp&Ben is just in between.
Yes, exactly. It's in between, and often is perceived by managers as part of financial control, which is not a full picture for us, HR operations, because of course, because HR operations is involved in paying money directly to the employees, but this is not the story of Comp&Ben. Comp&Ben is about policies and how the money. Yes, and they are not aware that, what is the exact value of this function within the organization. What we can do to them, how we can support them. What is the value of this?
And Comp&Ben is often like a central function for me. Like when a corporate is in multiple countries, it would be centralized.
Yes, and it needs to be consistent.
Yeah, and then you need to cascade this to the countries or to the legal entities, departments. While when you have this local HRs, payrolls, I think it's all local because
it's closely connected to the local labor law.
Exactly. So you can't actually centralize it very much easily. Okay, so these are the challenges related to Comp&Ben. So we said the education of employees, the tools and processes, fear or anxiety of missing something over the change by regular employees. And I also think, like we said the other day, that the exposure of Comp&Ben it's not great in an organization, because like we said, you need first of all you need HR, then you need some more sophisticated HR, and Comp&Ben is just like when you're really super aware it's needed, that only then you need it. So actually the organization has to be aware that it needs planning and strategic thinking, which is not often the case, I think.
Yes, true. And of course, after that goes this, again, tools and processes. So you can't expect a lot of money for a good IT tools if you are not visible in the organization, because why? What are you doing? Why it is so important to pay money for that, for extra money for that, for your systems and so on, right?
Yeah. And the explanation is that it's more like strategic, so it will pay off in the long run. Not exactly now, but that's something like you will use for the years to come. And I think people generally, like I'm not different to this. People tend to focus on now very much. Sometimes not so much thinking or like having the revenues now, having the benefits now, rather than thinking ahead for the future. Like, I'm very impatient myself. I would like everything to work out now, while actually running organization is long-term process. Things you change now, you will see some changes in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year, but you need to spend the time and energy now to make things happen later. And without this, it's not going to happen. So I think it will actually start going worse, or if you don't plan like that, and if you don't invest right now in making things better in the future. But that's just my perspective. So
no, this is very good perspective, and I think perspective of the employee is also important. So people feel much more comfortable if they are aware that somebody has this under control. Somebody will ensure that all the steps of the processes will happen, and rules will be the same next year, and so on. So if you have the process in place, people also feel more comfortable and peaceful about money, and even market is changing like now.
Exactly. I think Jack Welch said this, that employees and people ask, and this is natural, like they ask, what's in there for me? And I think Comp&Ben answers this question.
At least it should. If you don't, you make a very big mistake, because always two perspectives. So one is financial, another one is people. You can have great processes, great tools, but if this is not understandable for the people on all the levels on your organization, it won't work. It won't impact the behavior, and this is what you exactly want to do at the end of the day. So you would like to connect behavior and your revenue, right? Behavior impacts the revenue.
It takes a leadership,
of
to
course,
make it happen, which is, I think, another interesting topic: how to become a good leader. Magda, how to achieve success in Comp&Ben? Like, what would you advise when an organization doesn't have a Comp&Ben, or maybe it's a bit rusty, or even organizations that do have Comp&Ben? What defines a success, and how to achieve it?
I think this is so many things you need to do to be successfully on this area, because this is one of the most complex, I would say, especially because you have so different things to take into account. But I think it's very important to start, because I observe on the market many organizations which have no Comp&Ben at all and never did it, and
they're actually large.
Yes, our business environment is changing faster and faster, and you just can't live without this function, without any planning, any control, any long-term perspective of that. So at least you should try to start thinking about your remuneration policy, like about the process, because you can't have fast changes here. This is evolutionary. So you can't do that next day. This is a process. So I think that the most important thing is to start to be aware of that, and start to educate your managers first, then employees.
And starting is never easy.
Starting is never easy, but I think this is the highest time to do that. You have certain inflation rates, you have fast changing market, and you will crash without any strategy and idea on what to do.
Okay. Then another thing I think is adjusting to the market. Like just having Comp&Ben like hanging in the air without any connection to the market and to the outside world won't do much. So I guess it's also important to look to look at the market and see what's happening in your industry.
Yes. So this is, I think, the major difference between financial controlling and Comp&Ben. Comp&Ben always observe the market. I mean here.
And financial controlling observes the numbers, I guess.
But within the organizations. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good Comp&Ben. I can't imagine Comp&Ben without observing the market, without processing salary data from salary reports from external sources. So.
Okay. And then I think we said education is important, like making people aware that you exist and what actually is your role and how it can help them to achieve their success. I think it's like the whole management should be about this, like allowing people to achieve their success. And then I think that the last thing I would advise is the processes and tools. Like I think it's so much easier to carry on things when you have a process, because when you build a process, then things can change, people can leave, but then the process should still be the same, and process should happen no matter what happens within the organization. So I think it's important to have things done in a process way, meaning
yes, it needs to be structured. Of course, process should be adjusted to the market. That's why you observe the market, to adjust your processes and policies also to the market. But tools are also important. I think the greatest advantage of that is good access to the data, because you can talk a lot, but you need to prove prove this, and managers should be able to monitor if they are going to the right direction, what happens, how much they can spend, what they can tell to people, because the trust is the key. So if you are saying something to the people, you need to deliver.
You need to follow up and live on that.
Yes, they need to know that you control the process, you control the money, and you won't cheat them.
Agree. And then especially when it's not about just like pay, like a salary increase, but also when you think about bonuses and other Comp&Ben processes. I think we could talk about the processes in the following episodes, but I think you have, like, the more you go into like bonuses, KPIs, LTIs, the more important it becomes to actually connect it with your revenue, with paying for performance, with how people behave and what they do and what they achieve. Because achieving by the people is actually achieving by the organization and everybody around. So I think it's an important thing.
Fully agree.
Great. So Magda, let me summarize, unless you have anything else here to add.
No, I'm fine.
Let me just briefly summarize what we said. So we said that Comp&Ben is part of HR, and it's not obvious part of HR. It's needed when you see the need of financial planning, of budgeting, and also connecting your money spent with revenue and how people behave. And a Comp&Ben is in between this financial planning and soft skills of HR, and needs to connect them together, those skills. We said that it's important to educate people why Comp&Ben exists, and it's also important to create those policies and pay scales or policies how you want to behave and what you want to achieve as an organization. And then finally we said that it takes strategic thinking to do it properly. It won't happen right now. You won't achieve success today, but today you can you can set a goal, and when you do things properly, you will create a mechanism that will serve for the years to come. And this is why Comp&Ben is important.
Yes.
Would you add anything to it?
No, I think it's all. I would like to encourage everyone to think about this long-term perspective of remuneration management. So this is not easy, but totally worth of some extra effort. HR is incomplete without Comp&Ben, I would say.
We are fans of Comp&Ben. Thanks, Magda, so much for this episode. I think in the next ones we could talk about the actual processes that there are in Comp&Ben, and we could speak about it in details. But I think that was a good start on what Comp&Ben is about.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks, Magda. See you next time. Bye. Cheers.